Spain's Costa del Sol, a paradise of yachts, mansions, and eternal sun. A playground for the rich and famous, but behind the glittering luxury, a deep darkness hides. This place has another name, the Coast of Crime, a sanctuary for the world's most dangerous criminals. In this ecosystem of violence, a new power has taken root. The Mocro Mafia. At the center of this story is a ghost. A man named Karim Bouyokrochian, alias Taxi, to the authorities in the Netherlands. He was the country's most wanted and dangerous criminal. A man who made death threats against the future Queen of Holland. This is the story of how the most dangerous criminal in the Netherlands mocked European justice and simply disappeared. To understand Karim Bouyokrochian, you must first understand the organization that created him, the Mocro Mafia. It is not a traditional mafia, with a single boss and a rigid structure. It is a decentralized network of clans, united by family ties and a common origin. Young men of Moroccan descent in the Netherlands and Belgium. Their business is controlling the cocaine and hashish that floods Europe through the ports of Rotterdam and Antwerp. Their method is extreme violence. Their motto, a chilling whisper in the underworld, talk, and you're dead. The brutality of this organization exploded in 2012 in what became known as the Mocro War. A stolen shipment of cocaine in Antwerp unleashed a wave of assassinations that stained the streets of Europe with blood. In this world of lawless violence, the Bouyokrochian family was royalty. Karim's older brother, Samir, known as Scarface, was one of the continent's biggest cocaine kingpins. But in August 2014, his reign ended. While dining at a restaurant in Benihavis, near Marbella, he was gunned down. The murder, allegedly ordered by a rival clan led by the feared Ridwan Taghi, left a power vacuum. And into that void, Karim Bouyokrochian stepped forward. He did not inherit the throne with diplomacy, he claimed it with blood. 4 months after his brother's murder, the alleged assassin, Khalid Jafar, was dining in Panama, thousands of miles away. It didn't matter. Karim's hitman found him and executed him. The message was clear, and it echoed throughout the criminal world. There was a new king, and his reach knew no borders. The revenge was not just an act of passion, it was a declaration of power, a bloody coronation. The money laundering machine Karim, nicknamed Taxi, was no simple thug. He was the financial brain, the master of laundering. While other clans drowned in wars between sicarios, Karim specialized in the art of making dirty money look clean. He was the Mocro Mafia's banker, and his business was immense. The police investigation focused on the laundering of at least €6 million, but the reality was much larger. When they finally caught him, authorities froze a fortune. 172 properties valued at €50 million and nearly €3 million in 148 different bank accounts. It was a financial empire built on violence and drug trafficking. His methods were sophisticated, a mix of tradition and modernity. He used the Hawala system, an ancient network of informal transfers based on trust, impossible for banks to trace. He created a web of shell companies and used front men to hide his name. But his main tool was real estate. He bought luxury properties on the Costa del Sol, turning cocaine profits into villas and apartments with sea views. His operation didn't just hide money. It was corrupting the local economy from within. By injecting tens of millions of illicit euros into the real estate market, he inflated prices and created a dangerous dependence on crime money. The Costa del Sol was not just his refuge, it was his game board. In June 2018, the elite of the Spanish National Police, the Economic and Fiscal Crime Unit, UDEF, began the hunt. For 5 long years, agents patiently followed the money trail. They unraveled Boyokrichyn's complex network of companies, frontmen, and properties. He was no ordinary criminal. He was a priority target for the Netherlands. The man their security services described as the most wanted and dangerous criminal in the country. His capture was a matter of national security. Finally, in January 2024, the operation reached its climax. In a massive raid in Malaga and Melilla, the police arrested Karim and 5 of his main associates. The authorities celebrated. They seized money, jewelry, and weapons, and froze his vast financial empire. The news was a triumph for European police cooperation. They had caught the ghost, or so they thought. The police celebration, though justified, created a false sense of victory that would soon turn into an international humiliation. A price for a Princess Taxi's dangerousness went beyond money and drugs. His organization had put the Dutch monarchy in check. The Mokro Mafia had issued death and kidnapping threats against Princess Catharina Amalia, the heir to the Dutch throne. The threats were so serious and credible that the young princess had to abandon her university life in Amsterdam. She couldn't leave her home. She became a prisoner in her own palace. The truth later emerged. For over a year, Princess Amalia lived in secret exile in Madrid, under the protection of the Spanish state, to escape the mafia's clutches. This detail elevates the story to another level. It wasn't just a criminal matter. It was a matter of state. A few weeks before Karim's escape, at a state dinner, King Willem-Alexander of the Netherlands publicly and personally thanked King Felipe of Spain for taking care of his daughter. A gesture of deep diplomatic gratitude that, in retrospect, makes what happened next even more embarrassing. The threat to the princess showed that the Mokro Mafia was no longer acting as a simple criminal gang, but as a narco-state directly challenging the sovereignty of a European nation. The €50,000 question, and here, the story takes a turn toward the absurd, toward a judicial failure that defies all logic. After his arrest, a judge in Marbella ordered unconditional imprisonment for Karim Boyokrichyn, recognizing the clear flight risk. It was the logical decision, but the defense appealed to a higher court, the Provincial Court of Malaga. The prosecutor opposed with all his might. He argued that Boyokrichyn had a high economic capacity, that he had no ties to Spain, and that an extradition order from the Netherlands was pending. He warned that if released, he would flee. The court in Malaga heard the arguments, and, in a decision that perplexed police and prosecutors across Europe, it acknowledged in writing that yes, a flight risk exists, but it then ruled that this risk could be mitigated with measures less burdensome than prison. They granted him bail. The price to release a man with a frozen fortune of €50 million, €50,000, an insignificant amount, 0.1% of his known fortune. It wasn't bail. It was an invitation to disappear. The judicial system, designed for common criminals, was incapable of measuring the risk posed by a multimillionaire kingpin for whom €50,000 is nothing more than pocket change, a simple fee to buy his freedom. Once free, Karim Boyokrichyn executed his plan with chilling patience. He paid the bail and walked out of jail. To lull the system, he played the part of a model defendant. He had to sign in at the courthouse every 15 days, and he did. He showed up on March 18th. He showed up again on April 1st. He created an illusion of compliance, a false sense of security. Meanwhile, the judicial machinery for his extradition to the Netherlands moved slowly. When the National Court in Madrid finally summoned him to communicate his surrender, it was too late. On April 15th, the day of his next check-in, Karim Boyokrichyn did not appear. He had vanished. The man the police took 5 years to find had disappeared in less than 2 months. Immediately, an international search and arrest warrant was issued. Police believe he fled to Morocco, likely in one of the powerful narco boats that crossed the strait. There, in the province of Nador, he has family, contacts, and infrastructure to remain hidden, beyond the reach of European justice. The ghost of Marbella had completed his vanishing act. The news of the escape hit Europe like a bombshell. The reaction in the Netherlands was one of disbelief and fury. The Dutch prosecutor's office expressed its astonishment and surprise. The country's press was not so diplomatic. They called it a fiasco, a blunder, and an embarrassment for Spanish justice. The Dutch liaison judge in Spain lived in person with the Spanish magistrate to convey his government's deep indignation. In Spain, the official response was much more restrained. The Minister of Justice, Felix Bolaños, called the news worrying, but hid behind respect for judicial decisions and expressed confidence that the police would arrest him again. The Minister of the Interior, Fernando Grande Marlaska, did the same, avoiding any criticism of the judges and showing his full confidence in the security forces. To cap off the absurdity, the governing body of Spanish judges, the CGPJ, opened an investigation into the alleged judicial discoordination. Its final report was surreal. It concluded that there was no discoordination, no dysfunctions, and that all the courts involved acted diligently and in compliance with the rules. The system had investigated itself and found itself innocent. By focusing on whether procedures were followed on paper, the report deliberately ignored the catastrophic error in judgment that allowed the escape, protecting the judiciary's image over accountability. Today, Karim Bouyakrichan remains a free man, a fugitive, one of Europe's most wanted criminals, likely hiding in Morocco or Dubai, places from which extradition is practically a fantasy. The massive police operation to capture him, 5 years of meticulous work, went down the drain for a €50,000 bail. His story leaves unsettling questions in the air. Was it a case of monumental judicial incompetence? Was it a systemic failure of a justice system unprepared to face criminals of this magnitude? Or was it something worse? Something that smacks of the corruption that the Mocro Mafia itself uses as one of its most effective weapons. The escape of Taxi is much more than the story of a narco. It is a terrifying portrait of the vulnerability of our systems. It shows how the new mafias, global, multimillionaire, and unscrupulous, can exploit the cracks between countries, between courts, between laws. Karim Bouyakrichan is a ghost, not just because he vanished, but because his story haunts Europe as a constant reminder, a reminder that a power exists that operates beyond the law, and that sometimes that power simply wins. Thank you for staying until the end. Behind every video are hours of research to bring you the complete story. If you value that effort, the best way to support us is by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. See you in the next investigation.